Hello, it's Bishop Mark. Today is Luke chapter 14, verses 1 to 6. So we have a new chapter, but we have an old subject. In other words, we've seen this similar passage before. It is a little different though, and so we're going to point out the differences. But it should sound familiar if you've watched all these videos and read through Luke to this point, because it's about a healing on a Sabbath with the Pharisees watching. See? Familiar. But let's see why is Luke telling this similar story? Here we go. On a Sabbath, he went to dine at the home of one of the leading Pharisees, and the people were there observing him carefully. Okay, so what's different? First thing that's different is that it's a leading Pharisee. So we know that the Pharisees have been questioning him, that they're scandalized by the fact that he heals on the Sabbath when you're not supposed to work on the Sabbath. And then when they talk to him about it, he switches the subject a bit and he argues with them, and they lose the argument every time. So what do? They invite him to a higher Pharisee, a leading Pharisee, and it's the Sabbath, and he's invited to dinner because they know he has been healing people on the Sabbath. And two, you invite Jesus to dinner, he's gonna go. He goes all the time throughout the Bible. He's often at dinner with people that invite him. So if a leading Pharisee invites him, even though Jesus would know that they're out to get him, he's gonna go. He's unafraid. And what do? Do they just treat him normal? No. They put someone with him to, we'll see the next line. In front of him, there was a man suffering from dropsy. Okay, first of all, what's dropsy? Dropsy is a swelling of the limbs. So perhaps the man had big legs, and because there's so much liquid in there that they swell up. There's a word for it today that's not dropsy like it was then. It's called edema. But this man had a swelling. So do you think he just happened to be at the party, at the dinner of the Pharisees? Or do you think, like I think, that the Pharisees were put him there to see if he would heal the man on the Sabbath at the leading Pharisee's house? And what did he have to say for himself this time? They're just so shocked of who he is, but he keeps getting away with it. So they put this man with dropsy right in front of him and see what he does. Okay. Jesus spoke to the scholars of the law and the Pharisees in reply, and he asked the question of them. So not only the leading Pharisee, there's scholars of the law there, the scribes, and there's a man with dropsy in front of him, and they're all waiting to see what he does. And what does he do? He asks the people a question. Here's the question. Is it lawful to cure on the Sabbath or not? But they kept silence. Okay, he's done this before. He has asked them questions, and they lose when he asks questions. So what did they do this time? They've planned this ahead of time. I tell you, the whole thing was planned. The man with the dropsy, the leading Pharisees, the dinner of the Sabbath. And as soon as he asked that question, is it lawful to or not? What do? They say nothing. They remained silent. So they're not going to get baited into argument. They just want to see what happens. So they said nothing. Okay. What do you think Jesus does? Well, of course, he heals the man. He's Jesus. That's what he does. He's unafraid. Okay, here we go. So he took the man, and after he had healed him, dismissed him. So he healed the man, and then he let him go. God bless the man who was put on display. At least he got healed. But the Pharisees were using him. And he felt the love of Jesus, who healed him. Now, he says to them, then he said to them, who among you, if your son or ox falls into a cistern, would not immediately pull him out on the Sabbath day? So, back in the last chapter, in 13, remember the woman that was bent over, right? And then after he healed her on the Sabbath day, he said to her, well, if you're on the law lets you feed your donkey or your ox, right, on a Sabbath. So you have to do things of mercy. That was his answer then. Now he says to them, if your child or your ox fell into a cistern, which is a well. Ever seen a well with water at the bottom and you could just drop right in? Well, if an ox or a child fell into the well, you would help them immediately, wouldn't you? Even if it was a Sabbath day. So he is saying, if there's an emergency, and this man is suffering from dropsy, he considers an emergency, you need to heal him right away, what's better to do? Well, Jesus is insisting that it's better to help a person than to not help them, even on the Sabbath. That God did not set aside the Sabbath in order not to help a person in dire need. But of course, the Pharisees think God did do that. So Jesus is teaching, and they're going to hear this lesson over and over and over. But instead, they're just collecting notes to accuse him of this crime. And it ends this way. But they were unable to answer his question, as usual. Yeah, Jesus has an authority when he speaks. He has such authority and wisdom that you're left without answers. But you are left with your notes and your schemes. And we all know what happened. But nevertheless, another similar story, but a little more dire, more urgent, more leading towards their accusations in Jerusalem. Peace to you.